to the cloud. Okay, got it. All right. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm very well, Patricia. Thank you. How are you? Good to see
I
you.
am good. I am good. It's good to see you again. I only see you every few months. So it's wonderful to be able to connect and talk a little bit about hospitality and senior living today.
Absolutely.
It is fun that you and I actually have a little bit of a history. We met when I was opening a community in North New Jersey. You remember?
I do. I do remember it well. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful community. And I think it was probably the nicest salon we had put into a community in my experience at the time. I felt like we were really breaking new ground. It was, don't you remember it being just lovely?
I do. Yeah, that's back back 5, 6 years ago as sort of the beginning of the wave, I would say, of redevelopment with an eye on hospitality spaces and in our world, specifically in the salon, getting the types of investments both in the design and the aesthetics, but also in the ergonomics for seniors that were long overdue. And that operator has done a good job of increasing that type of investment ever since.
Right. It has been kind of a wave that we have been riding. What do you think are the specifics of that? What do you think is happening in senior living and specifically your part of the world in providing services that are more hospitality focused?
Yeah, no, when I think back, when we first started in 2008, it was right around the time when we all started hearing things like the boomer wave in our sort of pop culture, and that's always been important, at least in our existence, because of the statistics of 10,000 people turning 65 a day, et cetera. But
Right.
I think what it really underscored is a changing dynamic in the consumer of senior living, because before the boomers, the generation before them was in many ways considered to be sort of the generation that would just go along with what things were and what was provided, right? So
Right.
in our world specifically, the salon that was designed in the 70s and not invested in ever again was okay because it was good enough. And what
Mhm.
we've seen over the last decade is as boomers, and I would say both as potential residents and as the adult children of their parents have aged into the space, they're paying more attention and they're frankly requiring change in positive ways towards more of a hospitality, for more of an individualized, personalized service model. And I think communities are starting to respond to that by investing in the things, both technology or infrastructure, frankly, that are accommodating that, in my words, good pressure, I think. And it's forced them to do better by their changing consumer. And it's been overdue. And the good news is it's not just benefiting the boomers, of course, it's benefiting those residents that are still in senior living and have been since maybe the 70s or 80s. And and as everything improves, their lives, their quality of life is improving as well.
I think that's absolutely true. What changes do you think you've made in your business to help address those rising expectations?
Yeah, I think we kind of put our board in the water right when the wave started. So we when PS first launched, we were more like the previous salon model during that time, where we came in to a community relationship thinking we were going to operate like a traditional salon, and except doing it better with maybe more bold lines around the box than not, versus a less resourced independent contractor or something like that.
Right.
And very quickly, as we pushed our own edges of the envelope and challenged ourselves to do better, we got the same challenge back from communities and residents to do better. So we've
Mhm.
evolved along the way, both in how we helped upgrade and design spaces where we now help communities do what we did with your operator. We actually do full on design and procurement of salon equipment to get the right types of equipment, better types of equipment in the salon so they look better. But then on the operating side, we've gone as far as we're now one of 4 companies in the country that are partnered with Paul Mitchell on a national basis. So
Hmm.
PS, Sport Clips, Regis, and Floyd's Barbershops are the 4 large partners of the Paul Mitchell brand. So now all of our salons carry the highest quality types of products, which is a better brand recognition nod to seniors and their adult children as well, as opposed to what you often see in communities would be sort of the generic brand or lower quality type products that a less resourced operator would have. So everything we do is really pushing the experience into what's more of a commercial experience that we all understand today. What we, not just with COVID, but even before COVID, we've all lived in apps, right? With technology,
Yes.
we have expectations of service now with Amazon of things, on the hour, let alone days in advance. And in the senior living environment, most of the amenities in hospitality aren't in sync with what we experience on the outside. So we're trying to do everything we can to at least make the salon experience in-house as commercial and professional as it is anywhere else, in the communities across the United States. And that includes now a new frontier for us with technology, in addition to all of the operating improvements we've made.
Right. And Cubigo, of course, has an emphasis on technology and is a technology partner to senior living communities. And our emphasis in 2022 is in alignment with yours, with the creation of the wellness cubes that will allow residents to make appointments directly from the platform, be able to look at their charges and be able to follow up and buy things online, including from a salon. Those are changes that we're working on. How does technology play a role in your plans?
Well, we're on a similar trajectory, and it's great. I give Cubigo accolades for seeing around the corner, so to speak. So I think this is where technology needs to go in senior living to match those commercial demands we were just talking about. We went so far, we're not a technology company per se, we're a salon company. But even in our world, we understood the value of tech. And about 3 years ago, we launched our own proprietary point of sale to help us better administrate our data and data analytics in our salons, and also improve things like how we can capture payment for services without having sort of the old credit card machines that people are used to seeing, back in the 80s and 90s, so to speak. Now we have an iPad deployed point of sale system that we host ourselves. We built a rewards and pre-funding account feature into that, which we call celebration accounts. It's modeled almost exactly like the Starbucks card concept, where I, as a resident, or my adult children, or whoever is connected to me, can pre-fund the account. And when I come into the salon, I have a digital wallet, so to speak, where I can use that wallet and pay for services. And we add a 4 or 5% reward on the end. So if you put $100 in the account, you get $105 to spend. And while that's sort of a nonchalant type of benefit today for us, in senior living, it's sort of way off the charts innovative, especially when it comes to the salon, where we now have 11,000 plus families who are able to log on to an account and participate digitally in the salon benefits of a resident, which is a major selling point for us. But it's also, I think, again, a nod to where senior living has to go, where we're meeting our consumers where they're at, and that's where senior living has a lot of catching up to do in these areas. So initiatives like what Cubigo is talking about, what we're doing, how we can go all partner together in the future. Everyone on the amenity and hospitality side of the house has to look at this as a partnership model going forward, where all of us can bring our respective expertise to the table, because tech means a lot of different things to different companies. But to the consumer, it just means convenience. It means peace of mind. It means real-time information. And these are the things that I think the new consumer in senior living, both the resident and the adult child, frankly, demand, and they deserve, I think, going forward.
Right. I think the way we are seeing it is, though, families and residents want an identical high quality experience inside a senior living community to one they would receive outside a senior living community. They don't want to have any loss of service or flexibility or convenience, and anything that's happening in the world outside the community they would like to be able to experience in what is their home.
Yeah,
Is
and you know, without question. And the resource challenge to provide that is a lot lower today than it might have been a decade or two ago, because as we all know, technology is getting less expensive, you know, to deploy. It's easier to develop things. There are more people in the workforce to help develop code and solutions. There are so many off-the-shelf applications today that any senior living operator can, you know, embrace and tweak into a custom, you know, service delivery for their own clients, that there's really no excuse anymore why you don't have more digital solutions for residents and families, because they're out there. Options like Cubicle, for instance, right? They're there. So, you know, why don't you have a system that engages residents and families virtually with all the bells and whistles that, you know, my 12-year-old daughter has and has had, you know, for the last 3 or 4 years, you know, in her social group. Right? That should be automatic at this point. Right.
So if you work with a lot of very good quality providers, you know, a lot of people in the industry, is there one piece of advice that you give people when you have a conversation about hospitality and they want to move the needle in their own community?
Yeah, I give lots of advice, I think, on the topic. we're pretty passionate about it, but I think the buzzwords, I think, are personalized service. And when you have 100 to 500 or more residents in a community, you'll never have the physical staff ratio to provide the individualized attention that everyone would require, you know, if it were just staff-based. So technology has to become a force multiplier for caregiving. And I'm not necessarily advocating for, you know, robotic solutions to, you know, services, although there are some great innovations there. But I think, you know, we're also connected today through technology in different ways, not just to people, but to ourselves, our data, our health metrics, you know, our steps on our phone and our Fitbits, those kinds of things. Right. I think there's so many ways we can empower seniors and ourselves to have less time focusing on things that are more manual or otherwise more challenging to focus on, if there's a technology solution for them. And there's an easy way for tech to be sort of quietly in the background, you know, improving our lives without it being the focus of everything in our life, right? And I think that's where senior living communities I don't believe they'll ever be obsolete. There's a lot of chatter about whether the at-home market is really where people want to be. I have my thoughts that, you know, senior living communities offer so much dynamic interpersonal interaction between peers that it's a very healthy way to spend time, you know, later in life versus at home and alone, just because technology lets you, you know, turn the lights on and things like that. I think that's important, but communities need to step up, I think, and provide more of that personalized service and solution so that residents feel like they're not losing autonomy while they're gaining all the social benefits that the communities, you know, offer. And you know, so that to me is a big need, and changing strategy, frankly, for many operators out there that aren't there yet. They need that help, and companies like Cubicle and PS and others can help them do that.
Sure, I completely agree with you. You know, the goal of the technology is actually to be mostly invisible. Mm-hmm. It needs to be so easy that the interaction to get a haircut is as simple as it can be, and you don't concentrate on the technology at all. That you just think about what you want to achieve, and it's so simple that you don't even, you know, perceive yourself as needing to do something hard. Exactly. And I think that's what we're all working toward, so that staff can concentrate on the resident interaction, and that's what they're there for. And so that people are just in a position of ease and rest and can enjoy the connection of the community, because that's the best thing we do.
Yeah, and it's how many hours a week can you give back to multiple employees in a community if technology is short-circuiting what's otherwise a manual process, whether it's data collection or reports or printing things, right, distributing paper. All those things that, you know, have a marginal benefit at best now in today's world, where, you know, all those resources could be redeployed into engagement, like you said. Sitting
Exactly.
down with a
And
resident for 15 minutes instead of sitting in front of the screen for 15 minutes. That's a big win.
it is. It absolutely is. And I think that's a way to make both residents happy and keep staff engaged with the most important parts of their job. So hospitality is the way forward.
Absolutely.
It
It always
is.
has been. I think it's finally getting its due. I think
Yeah.
now
Right, right. And we're able to do it in an easy, seamless way. So it's a good time to be in this business.
it's a great time. I have so much fun.
Yeah.
And coming out of COVID, there's just so much more we can do now. COVID changed the game in some ways, obviously.
It did.
But it forced all of us who are still here to focus on our core principles and what our core services are. And I think there's a pretty clear direction for all of us going forward of how we provide those services.
Exactly. And working together, we're going to keep having a wonderful time.
Yes, we are. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for taking time today. It was great to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you again. Good luck to you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.